Good morning to our viewers in Nigeria and across Africa. It's the conversation on TOS TV Network. It's a rainy day here in Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. It's such a cold morning. I hope you're having, a blissful day already. My name is Adesu Alsi.
And I am Sagir Ibrahim. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
Good morning, Sagir. You're padded up. It's like the cold.
Of course, like you said, it's a cold morning. I just
have
to. Like, I woke up this morning now and I was like, I should just stay there.
But the show is not going to do itself, so exactly. All right, with that, we'll bring you the quarter of the day, after which we'll be bringing you stories and developments from across the African continent.
At the first sign of pain, you need a solution that you can trust to provide effective relief and is gentle on the stomach. Try Panadol Caplets for relief from headaches, body aches, and fever. With Panadol's Optizorb formula, the tablet gently breaks down in the stomach, quickly absorbs, and starts providing pain relief in 15 minutes. For fast and effective pain relief that you can trust, try Panadol Caplets. This has been Medifact for Panadol.
Welcome back. We move straight into development across Africa. Mali is again in the news, and this time it's about its military commander, Colonel Assimi Goita, being sworn in as the country's transitional president yesterday, Monday, in a ceremony at the International Conference Center in Bamako, the capital city. Colonel Goita ordered the arrest and overthrew Mali's interim president, Barn Do, and Prime Minister Mokhtar Wani in May for not informing him about the details of a cabinet reshuffle, which he alleged violated the transitional charter. Both later resigned while in custody.
One thing I can say is this. You see, a situation comes when a man has a taste of power, not just power, but real power.
Yes.
And I'm telling you, he will do whatever he can to ensure he doesn't let it go. I
thought they said they were gearing up for a democratic election in Mali.
Yes, they were. But then again, he has the power to overthrow the government.
Wow.
And he also has the power and also the will to ensure that whoever stands in his way is booted out. So what does he do?
So Mali is back to military government.
That is it. And it's a matter of self-interest.
Wow.
Look, I might have made promises that the country will be returned back to democracy in 2022. But this power is sweet, though. So why would I want to? This is a classic reason of why certain African rulers and certain rulers across Europe
stay in country,
stay in power for decades, 30 years, 40 years, 20 years. It is just because the power is sweet. It is not always easy for a man to just give up power like that. And I think that is what he's playing here.
Exactly.
I just hope at some point he feels like it's enough and he just steps down and lets the normal democratic process to just take place.
I just hope at some point Africa practices true democracy. Yeah, well, we get to learn to actually, practice true democracy.
I have an objection to that because, it is not always easy for somebody to copy hitherto with something else from somebody.
You can say that, but
so
that's what we're looking. That's what we're looking forward to.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so moving forward, COVID-19 in Uganda, school closes, suspends religious gathering as cases increase. President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda has ordered the closure of schools and suspension of religious gatherings in the country to reduce the spread of coronavirus. He made this order while addressing the country about the COVID-19 situation on Sunday evening.
That's quite.
Yes.
Sometimes I think because of the COVID-19 situation in Nigeria, not as intense as it is in other parts of the world, I tend to actually forget that there are lots of other countries in the world, even in Africa, that are battling extreme cases, extreme rise in the cases of COVID-19, and then people just need to, take proper precautions and all of that.
One thing we should all be thankful for is Africa has had it good since, the advent of the COVID-19 pandemic, and because of that, we shouldn't be oblivious of the fact that there is a possibility of a third wave happening.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
I think that is what we are seeing. So any spike in the cases, in the daily infectious cases we're having, we need to be very, very careful about
it.
If not, if we just put it aside as it's normal, it will blow off at some certain point. I mean, we saw what happened in Tanzania as well. It happened in South Africa as well. If you put it aside, there's a tendency of it becoming a storm you cannot weather.
Exactly. Yeah. All right, moving away from that, back to Nigeria. Very interesting one, actually. So the Nigerian government is in talks with Twitter over the Twitter suspension or the Twitter ban in Nigeria. Nigerian government has said conversation is ongoing with Twitter following the suspension of its operations in the country. The country's foreign minister, Geoffrey Onyema, told newsmen on Monday there are discussions ongoing with Twitter. We will see how that progresses. So I cannot say for now the duration of the suspension, Onyema said after a meeting with diplomats on the issue.
Well, it's a good thing at least that the Nigerian government is already in talks with Twitter.
I mean, they're calling it a suspension, so it's no longer a ban.
Everybody is willing. No, when the first statement that came out actually stated that it was an indefinite suspension. Yes, it was subsequently that the media coined ban. I don't know where they got that from. But initially, when the statement came out from the State House, from the Minister of Information, it was an indefinite suspension. It wasn't a ban. An indefinite suspension was what it was. But anyways, it's good. I saw a couple of back and forth between the Nigerian government and Twitter. I saw the tweet by the official Twitter handle to the president, and I was like, okay, let's see how this turns out.
Well, waiting.
But at the end of the day, when two elephants fight,
the ground suffers.
Yes, exactly.
All right.
Okay, so moving on to, still in Nigeria, to Kaduna State this time. The Kaduna State Governor, Nasir El-Rufai, on Sunday went against the Twitter ban imposed by the federal government and Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami's order, when he made a tweet which invited mockers on the governors. In a statement made by the Special Assistant on Media and Public Relations to the Minister, he ordered for the immediate prosecution of offenders for the federal government's ban on Twitter operations in Nigeria.
So do you think that El-Rufai is going to actually be prosecuted for using Twitter, despite,
I think we should just wait and watch as events unfold.
Okay. All right, with that, we'll bring you COVID-19 update from across Africa. And of course, after that, we'll be bringing you newspaper headlines for this morning.
North to South Africa, East to West Africa, TOS TV Network is your digital-first Pan-African news network, bringing you news from across the continent. Visit our website www.tostvnetwork.com and follow us on social media at TOS TV Network on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. Watch us on television, channel 138 on TSTV Africa.
Welcome back. It is still The Conversation, and do remember, you could be part of the conversation by connecting with us on our various social media channels on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram using the various details showing on your screen, and you could also watch us live on our website at www.tostvnetwork.com. You could also check out some of our content on YouTube, and as well subscribe and like our videos at TOS TV Network. It is the newspaper segment where we bring you headlines trending across Nigeria on various newspapers, and we'll start with the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. And we'll start with the very obvious headline, the banner headline there, and states Adeboye, Kumuyi, others defy FG on Twitter ban. And there's a couple of riders just underneath. Twitter suspends Facebook's owner's accounts for attacking Buhari. NBC directs all TV radio stations to deactivate Twitter handles, I beg your pardon. And underneath we have ban violators will know their offense in court, FG. And just underneath that, INEC to publish list of new polling units next week, and that could be found on page 2 on the Nigerian News Direct newspaper. There are a couple of other headlines here which you could grab a copy of the Nigerian News Direct newspaper this morning to catch a read.
Moving away from the Nigerian News Direct to the Daily Trust newspaper, starting from the very top. France imposes $267 million fine on Google. Beside that, gunmen killed 27 in Benue. Twitter suspension takes toll on brands and businesses. That's on page 16. And the banner headline on the Daily Trust newspaper this morning: secession agitations. Northern elders flay Igbo leaders, a lack of consensus. 4 riders under that one: Ekwere Madu, Ngige, Onu, Okorocha, others silent. Arsonist, assailants not different from Boko Haram. That's coming from Shoyinka. We've always denounced violence. Ohanize, Abaribe condemns attack. Ezekwesili, others blame Buhari. There are quite a number of other, interesting headlines on the Daily Trust newspaper. Get yourself a copy to read up on all the stories.
Moving on to the Business Day newspaper, we'll start with the banner headline there. Energy transition reality rouses FG from inertia on sectors reform to pass PIB in June after 20-year delay. And just beside that, Nigeria's palm oil industry blossoms as policy spurs investments. And this, among other headlines, will be found on the Business Day newspaper of this morning. Yeah,
the last headline we're going to be looking at, the last daily we're going to be looking at a front page this morning is the Daily Times. The first headline there says, 20 slain, many injured in Benue attack. That story is continued on page 5. The banner headline on the Daily Times newspaper this morning: some privileged elites planning to dismantle Nigeria, says Sultan. That is on page 2 of the Daily Times. Igbo in Nigeria: allow Igbo to go, Northern elders urge federal government. And on the National Assembly, reps threaten to shut down National Assembly, sanction CBN, NIMASA's DG, IGP, NSA. The last headline on the Daily Times newspaper this morning: abandoned buildings. Sanwo-Olu gets list of abandoned buildings, havens for criminals set to boost security.
Okay, that will be it for the newspaper segment. Coming up next is what's trending on social media, which will be handled by Adeswa.
Always remember,
Tim and I have been creative design. We really like box.
you deserve a break. You can indulge in a cup of 3-in-1 Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Cadbury Hot Chocolate. Indulge. Now available in the 450 grams pouch.
Welcome back. It's what's trending on social media segment of the conversation this morning. But before we get into all of that, as always, you have to be a part of the conversation and part of the TOS TV community by following TOS TV Network across all social media platforms. That's TOS TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also subscribe to TOS TV Network on YouTube You can also stream the conversation and other programs on www.TOSTVNetwork.com. I hope it was okay to say subscribe to TOS TV Network on Twitter though. Talking about Twitter, I was trending on social media this morning. The focus is still on the Twitter ban in Nigeria, and then that has been the conversation on the lips of every Nigerian in the last 48, I think 72 hours even. And so it continues to trend, after it was banned by the federal government. And I'm just going to read out a few tweets to that regard for you. The first is from @Ayo Bankole. Business Day says unconfirmed reports have it that policemen have been deployed around the country to do stop and search of citizens' phones in an attempt to track those still bypassing the Twitter ban Nigeria via VPNs. Stay safe out there. And Omoyele Showere says, yesterday, 92 persons were killed by bandits in Malami San's home state of Kebbi. He did nothing to protect these vulnerable citizens. Instead, he's issuing threats to jail Twitter users violating the Twitter ban Nigeria, a government of douchebags, and by douchebags, #Buhari must go. Edward Israel says they've asked media houses to delete Twitter accounts and summoned envoys of the UK, US, EU, etc. These guys are up to something bad. #Twitter ban Nigeria, #keep it on. The last is from @Obiezekwesili. Connecting the dots after I read something, it does indeed sound plausible that the Twitter ban Nigeria was meant to be an early preemptive strike against the June 12th protest. Okay then. Good reason now for more citizens to join that protest. A strong answer to what's next. So I'm going to ask you, Sage, what do you think is next from this point?
There have been a couple of theories, a couple of conspiracy theories about the government's motive for banning the microblogging sites. However, if you look at it from the perspective of the government, you'd see that although they took a really drastic measure, they were not wrong to have said that the president made a clear threat to those who have been causing insurrection, those who have been perpetrators of violence, those who have been attacking key infrastructures of the government, police stations, correctional facilities, and the likes. But then again, and these people were also issuing threats. I mean, the so-called Igbo leader went on Twitter and threatened to kill any member or personnel of the Nigerian government who is deployed to the southeast. That was a clear threat. They will be killed, they won't come back alive. And nothing was done. That tweet was not deleted. And the federal government came and said, I will treat those people perpetrating violence in a language they understand, and it was deleted. So you would understand the federal government's bias when they went ahead to take the action. However, the action was too drastic because, I mean, it's a violation on the freedom of expression and the rights of Nigerian citizens to express themselves. Okay, all right. We're just here looking forward to, just waiting for what's next. How all of this unravels, and we'll just be here sitting and watching all of that. Okay, that's it for what's trending on social media this morning. We'll go on a break now. When we come back, of course, we'll be coming back with the big story.
You won't go shake your body. Instead, they make it calm down. Eat the farm, say it's happy. You want to grow 6 packs in a day. I beg you not to pass your power. You want to show yourself,
Whatever your size, find it with the new Airtel data plans. Dial *141# now to get the plan that suits you. Airtel.
Welcome back. It is still the conversation on your digital first Pan-African News Network, TOS Television. And like I always say, you could be part of the conversation by connecting with us via our social media handles on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You could also watch us live on our website at www.TOSTVNetwork.com. You could also watch some of our other programs via our YouTube channel at TOS TV Network. Do like and subscribe to our channel. It is the big story, and today we will be focusing on the Twitter ban, of course, which has been trending for the past, say, 2-3 days, and the alleged or attempted media gag order by the federal government. The focus will be on the ban on Twitter by the Nigerian government and the directive by the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, to broadcast media organizations to refrain from using Twitter either as a means of passing or disseminating information, as well as a means of news gathering or information gathering. And joining us today to discuss this is Liborous Oshoma, and he is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation, Mr. Liborous.
Yeah, my pleasure. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Sir. Yes, I would like to ask you, what's your opinion on the directive by the NBC to broadcast media organizations?
It's draconian. It's anti-people, it's anti-democratic, it is contrary to public policy, and it is contrary to the provisions of our Constitution. It's a directive that is in the society nobody will comply with. But even those that are complying under duress because of the high-handedness of government. You cannot criminalize an offense that is not codified in our law. There is no law establishing that it is an offense for you to use Twitter in Nigeria. It is just a pronouncement by President, and he wants to now turn the President to a lawmaker. Even though it's not even codified in an executive order.
Okay, so let's talk about, the directive by the embassy to media organizations in Nigeria saying they should deactivate their Twitter account. Are you also of the opinion that it's part of the, grand plan, the grand scheme of things to silence the media in Nigeria?
Yeah, if you remember, in 1984, Decree 4, promulgated by the government of General Muhammadu Buhari, and it was the same pattern of this before to guard the media and ensure that people are not free to criticize the activities of the government, then government. And so today, the government had taken various steps before now to regulate the media, to regulate the activities of social media. But at every turn, the people have rejected it and asked them to find better ways of doing it. But now, with this Twitter issue, it is not the fact that Twitter suspended the account of the president that they are even arguing about. It is because you listen to them, they now bring in the issue of the NSAS. So, they bring in the issue of the NSAS and that Twitter encouraged protests in Nigeria. Again, are they saying that people don't have a right to protest against the government or the activities of the government? And so if you allow this to stand, tomorrow they'll tell you they have banned Facebook, they have banned Instagram, they have even banned usage of WhatsApp. They are testing the water. So that's why I have said, I've listened to MD of some broadcasting organizations saying, look, this is anti-people, and that even though they don't have the ordinary yesterday, they wouldn't comply, but they don't have a choice because MBC has been shown also to be high-handed. I asked us to listen to the issue of MBC. It's almost as if a regulator is being manipulated by the Minister of Justice, the spokesperson of the federal government. So, for me, if you look at Section 22 of the Constitution, it says that the media shall be free to hold government accountable to the fundamental objectives and basic principles as enshrined in Chapter 2 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria amended. But the same, now as we speak, we do not even have opposition. Because if the opposition used half of the measures used by this government when they were in opposition, the government would have even done the opposition by now. It takes one back to the days of Abacha. So when you hear the same people that use social media to get into government now depriving people of the opportunity to hold them accountable as enshrined in the provisions of the Constitution, then you know that we are gradually, or that we have descended to anarchy and undemocratic tendencies.
Okay.
And it is the behavior of the media not to allow it to stand. And I thank you for also giving us the voice to discuss this issue.
Okay, Mr. Liborous, now going back to the federal government as an arm of government. Some people have condemned the federal government for their approach of banning Twitter, saying they have the paraphernalia to track down those who have been using Twitter after the ban. They have the means of tracking and arresting and even prosecuting those who have been using Twitter after it has been banned. However, they've not been able to track down, say, bandits or terrorists or insurgents who have been causing mayhem and havoc in the country for decades. So what's your opinion on that? Is this a misplaced priority of the government?
That's to tell you where the government, what is a priority to the government. It's what criticism is a priority to them, but they don't care whether Nigerians die. They don't care. They are even negotiating with bandits and killers. They don't mind. But the moment you criticize them or you point them in the right direction, they take exception to it. It shows that the government is not a government that would want to abide by the rules. And I also have listened to some supporters of the government pointing to Russia, pointing to Korea, pointing to China, pointing to Iran as the countries that have done Twitter. Are these the kind of countries we want to be comparing ourselves with? When I listen to them and I laugh. You say we are copying American style democracy. We say we also want freedom. And yet we want to compare ourselves with nations that have stifled democracy, nations that are dictatorial. I really don't understand where our priority lies, where the government priority lies in terms of freedom. Yes, freedoms are limited, they are curtailed, but there are mechanisms for curtailing this freedom. Like I told you, how do you charge a man for an offense that is not codified in any law in Nigeria? So you want to prosecute somebody for an offense that is unknown to our law. Let them go and charge Adebele and the people that said they will not leave Twitter because they communicate with, they have branches in more than 170 countries of the world. And so they cannot afford not to communicate. So it's a means of, we have not even developed our telecommunications infrastructure to the level that China has done to warrant them say, look, we can afford not to communicate on Twitter. We have not. So, when you now hear people who do not even have the focus to develop their infrastructure, we are still using the same foreign technology to even communicate. Imagine using Twitter to ban people. You see how laughable it was and how unfortunate and sad it was. The DG of, I don't know how to read, the DG of our Nigerian Airspace Management Authority was quoted to have said recently that our satellite expired 3 years ago, but that is still working by the grace of God. So when you hear statements like this, you don't begin to wonder that these are the people that want to ban Twitter. Somebody told me yesterday that Twitter is sound like NEPA. It goes and comes. It goes and comes. You don't even have the technology to monitor your ban. So what are we saying? So I think, yes, there are people that have abused the usage, but there are better ways of also using it to push a positive narrative. We are so concerned about protest and the opposition against the government within the platform, but we are also not concerned about people, your citizens that are using the platform as a lawful means of livelihood. We are also not concerned about the commerce of it. So I think the government should have related all of this in a team and then now decide, okay, look, what do we do? How do we engage people to ensure that, we are able to track down those people who are, inciting ordinary Nigerians against others? As I speak to you now, I have listened to Imam Bukhari's statement at some point. And like Dr. Peter said, when you now begin to compare now the coming statement to the president's statement, you reduce the office of the president to Nnamdi Kanu's level.
Thank you so
I've
much.
listened to him. What is the government doing to collate all the expenses you have, all those inciting statements, and channel it through the appropriate British government quarters, through the appropriate diplomatic quarters to the government of the United Kingdom?
Thank you so
and
much, Mr.
appropriate sanctions should be measured out.
Unfortunately, Mr. Liborous, we're out of time. You've said quite a lot, and it's been really insightful and educative. Thank you so much for joining us on the conversation this morning.
Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you so much. Okay, it is, we've come to the end of the conversation today, and also do remember you could get a recap of the conversation via our YouTube channel at TOSTVNetwork.com, as well as watch some of our other content, and also like and subscribe to our channel. And you could also watch us live on our website at www.TOSTVNetwork.com. You could also reach us out on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram as our social media handles at TOS TV Network. The conversation comes back to you tomorrow, same time, and I remain Sagir Ibrahim.
My name is Adesu Walsi. Thank you for watching and stay safe.